Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark, 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. Dave Clark. A lot to get to today. Basketball, obviously, big for those that did not see the women Final Four last night. They have a number 2 seed, UConn, at the night game. Both games were really not that competitive. UConn in the night game beat UCLA 85-51. And then the first game, South Carolina beat Texas 74-57. South Carolina a 1 seed, Texas a 1 seed. They didn't have pure chalk in their Final Four like the men do.
Right. Yeah, that first game was a great. The first half was very good. It was good. That was tight. It was only 38-35.
Right.
Going into the half. So that one was good. But then the second half, Dawn State just allowed her entire bench. I mean, just ratcheted up the defense. And and when they did that, and she plays about 10 people, it looks like maybe 11. I don't know. There's so many people that comes in off that bench. That's insane. I've never seen a team that has their leading scorers are people that don't start. They got their 2 leading scorers don't start for South Carolina. They come off the bench.
They come off the bench. And they're the leading scorers.
They're the leading scorers. Unbelievable. But they do. You never know who's going to score. Everybody can take it. And that second half, it was now UConn's was just completely. They got up early and it was over.
And it was over.
It was over with.
That was over at halftime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought it was over even earlier than that. Once they got up to like 21-10 or 11, it was just over. I mean, they just wiped them out. And I was kind of surprised at that. The UCLA would get beat like that. But UConn is on a mission right now.
Yeah, they seem to be. They're the hot team here.
Mm-hmm.
They beat USC to get into the Final Four, who was a number 1 seed, and they beat them pretty soundly. The USC UConn game.
Yeah, I actually think that USC might have beat them if Juju Watkins.
Yeah, if she right.
It just changed so much.
Right,
so much of the other people that put pressure on that had to score, they would be complimentary scores. They had to be the scorer, and it changed the game where you could just see their offensive flow. I didn't watch them a lot this season. Their offensive flow is not the same. They got some good girls, they still do, but man, I didn't know she would be that big of a factor not being there.
Yeah, and
it was major.
Made a big difference.
Big difference.
Because they were really not the same team.
No, they're not.
Without her.
And then the size, they got so much size with her. I mean, she's 6'2".
Yeah.
And she's at guard. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, women, that's big guard.
Yeah. I mean, both their guards. The other girl, too, Smith, is 6'2".
Right.
And that's their guard. That's insane. But I'm interested. This is a different time. I used to didn't watch the women, man. I mean, that's been some years back, but I watch it all the time now. Very competitive, good games. Women can really play.
Yeah, well, they do. I mean, it's definitely good basketball to watch. Very competitive. The only thing, unfortunately, last night, the UConn game was not, like you said, as we said, not a competitive game to watch. And the first game was good for the half, but then South Carolina took over.
Yeah, they really did.
Second half, just kind of did away with Texas.
Yep.
Today or tonight, it's more tonight, I guess, we have the Florida-Auburn game, 6 o'clock or 6:09, followed up by Houston taking on Duke. And then we'll have the final on Monday night, like always. So then we'll have college basketball pretty much in the books after this weekend. Then we'll get to look at, and we will look at today this is what I kind of like about the calendar. Once you have the college basketball is done and over, what's great is now the NBA is really getting great interest, and you can see the play is just ratcheting up.
Oh, yeah.
And they're only a couple weeks away from the playoffs.
2 weeks from today.
Yes. They have the play-in game. And
when is that, Pat? That's probably before 2 weeks from today.
It is April 15th is the play-in. That's the first day of the play-in. It's that Tuesday.
Yeah, that's coming.
So
week and a half.
The way the schedule, that's only 10. It's not even 10 days.
Yeah,
today's the 5th. Playoffs. That's tax day, Tuesday.
Yeah,
but also, you've got the play-in, and this is where it's going to get. Now, when you look at the conferences, the East Conference is done. Those teams are pretty much set. You might have some movement but probably not. In the East, maybe within the teams are already in. Orlando, Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, and Miami are the teams that are going to be in the play-in tournament. It looks like it's not quite official yet, but it looks like the Milwaukee Bucks will get that 6th spot. I think one more win and they get it.
Right.
Atlanta has a chance of getting that, but it's a very remote chance. But for the sake of discussion, in all probability, you'll have Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago Bulls, Miami Heat in your play-in tournament in the East.
Okay.
The way they're going to map out, it looks like your tournament, at least the Eastern Conference teams getting in. Cavs will be number 1, Boston 2. Looks like the Knicks will be 3, Pacers 4, Pistons 5.
Okay.
And probably the Milwaukee Bucks could be 6. They could maybe get to where the Pistons are. Little in there. But bottom line is the East Conference has their 10 teams pretty in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
No discussion. There may be a little movement, but very slight, if any. Where the real interest gets in is it's always out. It's the wild, wild west is how we like to refer to it. This is where this can get really crazy because right now you have the Lakers with the number 3 seed. Their record is 47-30. They're a half game better than the Denver Nuggets at 47-31. Then Golden State is only a half a game behind Denver. And they're only a game behind the Lakers. They're sitting at 5. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves are right now at the 6th seed. But they're actually got the tiebreaker, but the Clippers have the same record as at the 7th seed. And the Grizzlies are tied with the Clippers for the 8th. So, I mean, it's literally these teams. If you take the Lakers, there is basically 2 games that separate 6 teams. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing and it's like you had to look at it almost twice because you have the Lakers at the 3, the Grizzlies are sitting at the 8th seed, but there's only 2 games that separate the Lakers and the Grizzlies 3 and 8. All those other teams are just sat there on top of one another.
Yeah. And it could change in only a week and a half of games left. It can change quickly.
Well, it's
got about 8 games, maybe. No, I don't know if they got that many. It's less than 5.
Try 5.
Yeah.
Because right now it looks like the Lakers have played 77 games. They play 82.
Yeah, they only got 5.
Denver's played 78.
So they got
4. Then the rest of the teams have played 77. So everybody's pretty much has 5 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get into the actual play-in tournament, it looks like the Mavericks and the Kings can change. They're 9 and 10.
Okay.
However, Phoenix is out right now. They're 2 games behind number 10 Sacramento. They still got a chance. Portland Trailblazers are 3.5 games behind Sacramento. And the Spurs are 5 games. They're pretty much out.
Yeah, they're too injured.
Yeah. So Phoenix has, and I guess for the sake of the discussion, the Spurs aren't mathematically out of it as of yet, but they will be very soon, sadly. But Phoenix has a shot. Portland kind of a shot, but they're kind of remote shots because, again, Phoenix being 2 out, you don't have a lot of. They've played 77 games, so
that's kind of hard. 5 games left, 2 out.
Right.
I mean, you have to probably win all of them.
You almost have to win them all and hope Sacramento or Dallas loses. Right now, there's only a half a game separating Dallas and Sacramento. Dallas at a 9 is a half a game better than Sacramento at a 10. And like I said, when you start looking at this, when you look at the Clippers and the Grizzlies, I mean, you could make this discussion, make an argument that the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors, or even the Lakers, if they go on a losing streak, they could fall into the play-in tournament.
Yeah, no.
Because it's so close between the Clippers and the Grizzlies. I mean, if the Clippers, the Grizzlies win a few games, they'll say like the Lakers or the Denver or even Golden State and Minnesota are barely hanging on to the top 6 seeds.
Right.
If one of those teams just has a couple bad nights, they could fall into the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Because again, there's only, I mean, right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Clippers, and the Grizzlies all have the same record. And I guess Minnesota holds the tie break. They're at 6, Clippers 7, Grizzlies 8. But they're only a game behind Golden State and 1.5 behind Denver. And only 2 behind the Lakers. So why we always like to refer to it, it seems like the Wild Wild West. You just don't know where these teams are going to go.
Right.
It looks like and for the best record overall, the OK City Thunder have a 2-game lead over the Cavaliers for the best record. Cavs are 62-15. OK City is 64-13. So depending on, how this plays out, Oklahoma City would have home field throughout the playoffs. Cavs would have home court throughout the Eastern Conference. But if the Cavs would play OK City in the finals,
OKC
has the home court. Yeah. So that's kind of how it maps out. But the NBA is always this time of year with only 5 games pretty much left. When you look, some teams have 4, some have 5, depending on how you look at it. But at the end of the day, the way this is going to map out, we're really not going to know how this is going to go as far as, especially in the West, it's a real crapshoot where these teams could fall.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be something.
So that's, and watching these games, like I watched Golden State and the Lakers the other night, and it was really a good game. Golden State won. They seem to be a whole different team with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
He's just revitalized that whole team. I mean, he was almost, you could make the missing part of the puzzle.
Yeah. He does other things. Sometimes he don't have to score a lot. No, in that game he didn't have a lot. But he's always doing something.
But he's always doing something.
On defense, he's making a steal. He's blocking a shot.
Right.
He's causing turnovers on people. All kinds of stuff. That's the things he do.
He's brings that element to your team that all of a sudden elevates your team.
Yeah.
And that's what he's in essence done, I think, with Golden State since he's got there on that trade. I think he's really made a big difference with Golden State.
Oh, yeah,
it makes it. It seems like all the other players he elevates the other players' play. It's just like Draymond defense. He made a big block right against the Lakers when the Lakers were trying to make a comeback. A great defensive play, not a block, but an unbelievable great defensive play. And that's Draymond.
Yeah.
So it just seems like the other players. I don't know if they play better or. Butler just seems to come in,
just does
gives
the
a
things
spark.
Because they was up 3.
Right.
And Lakers went down and didn't score. It came back and they needed a bucket. And who did they give it to? 3-pointer from the corner. He only had 3 points at the time. But he shot it. That was a 6-point. That was in the fourth quarter.
But that was a big clutch.
It was clutch at the time. Then he made another defensive play. That's what he always have done. I mean, everywhere he's been, that's what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes big buckets when you need it, defensive play, whatever. That's just who he is. That's why they're dangerous. Another team that I think is dangerous, they're in the play-in and they're dangerous. That's the Dallas Mavericks. Because I watched their game before.
And they don't have Kyrie.
And they don't have him. I seen Anthony Davis come back and he was playing with some type of other attitude, I guess, because they told him to shut it down. And he said he's not shutting it down. I'm going to play. You guys paying me and got me over. I'm playing it out. Yeah. Okay, they let him play, and he just dominated. And if he does that with the people that are around, they got good players around him. You don't have Kyrie, but you got a lot of good.
Got other good
players.
They
can just be dangerous. They can be a dangerous team, cause a problem for somebody. So it's just that's the West, though. That is the West. Anything can happen over there.
Well, that's the difference. When you look at the play-in the East, the teams aren't even at 500. Like the Magic, Hawks, Bulls, and Miami aren't even at 500.
No. And Miami's probably the losing Butler, but they are a grizzled type tough team that I think can still compete.
Riley.
Yeah, they're gonna be in it some kind of way.
Riley,
they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be rough.
That's Riley. They take it. That's how.
And actually, what you call it really has taken on that personality. Spoelstra. You could tell he's a Riley type guy because he coached them just like that's how they are.
Yeah, that's
why they never got rid of Spoelstra. They see that he's like a replica.
He's always going to be
a Riley knockoff.
He'll always be there.
Yep.
He's Riley's coach.
Yep.
Riley's not ever going to fire. I mean, many, many years ago when LeBron got there and LeBron was kind of getting it into with Spoelstra, allegedly LeBron went to Riley and said he wanted Spoelstra out. Riley said, no, you're going to learn to play with him because he's the guy. And that's it.
And people would say they criticize Riley, but he's old school and you're not going to tell me or nobody's running nothing. This is how I run it. And that's why him and Butler couldn't, Butler wanted to say whatever. He's not taking. Well, he wanted Butler to shut up, quit talking about other teams.
Right.
And we're not winning.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Last year. And then he was mad at Butler for being hurt in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Butler was running his mouth about other teams. And Riley was saying, hey, you're not even playing. You need to basically shut up and not say anything about other teams. And that's when it started to fracture whatever relationship they had.
Yeah.
It obviously went downhill. And then this year, it was just a matter of them getting rid of him because you knew that was going to happen.
Right.
They had suspended him because Butler wasn't going to play for them. And in essence, now Butler's in Golden State. And to be honest with you, I was wondering, Golden State didn't look very good this year, looked average. And now Butler's been there. It's a whole different team.
Mm-hmm. And they had to get a little healthier too. So that didn't help.
So the combination of getting healthy, but then getting Butler in has turned Golden State now. And then, this is a great thing with the playoffs. These first round, once they get the play-in figured out, then those first round games will be really interesting.
Yep.
And teams that have realistically done a great job in turning themselves around, you have to give Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
I don't know who gets the award, Houston or Detroit.
That's what I'm saying. I was just going to say Houston. I'm just looking at a little film.
Both of those teams were absolutely dismal last year.
It's a problem playing either one of them.
But
that could be a problem.
Houston has pretty much solidified the second seed. Not quite yet, but they're very close to solidifying the second seed. They have a 3.5 game lead over the Lakers. So there's a gap there. Houston has played, actually, this is the other thing. Houston has played 78 games.
Okay.
They have 4 games left. They're 3.5 over the Lakers. I believe if Houston wins one more game.
Yeah, can't get to them.
They're going to have that second seed wrapped up.
That's all they need to just win one more.
And that's all they need to do is win one more game. Yeah. So they've done an unbelievable job.
Yeah, both of those.
And so has
Detroit.
the Pistons were absolutely dismal. But then they took Cavs got rid of Bernie Bickerstaff Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He went to coach for Detroit,
right?
Correct. He's pretty much the reason why they've turned it around.
Turned it completely
now,
around.
I thought Bickerstaff Jr. was a good coach for the Cavaliers.
Me too.
But Atkinson, man, has just got the Cavaliers at a whole different level.
Yeah.
And, again, he's a great coach. I think Bernie Bickerstaff Jr., like his father, I always thought his father, Senior, was always a pretty good coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, Junior's done a great job with Detroit with that team. You've got to give him wow.
And I mean that, and Atkinson's hasn't been at the top of your coach when you had the Nets, but it always show you got to have the players around you that buy in.
Always
what you need,
right?
They got to buy into. You might, NBA players are great, but the guys got to buy into what you're teaching. Seem like these guys bought in. Now I'm just curious, can they do it? We see that at the regular season, but I want to see if they can turn that switch up come playoff time. That's where they need to do it.
Well,
that's going to be the factor to see.
That will be the $100 million question.
Those are the things from them. And I want to, like you said, you just got to give Detroit and Houston their props. Now, that lets me know Udoka in Houston, oh yeah, he can coach.
He's good.
You don't go leave Boston, the scandal situation and all that happened. And you get there and you said, well, what are you going to do with that team? I mean, he turned them around like me. Even though they wasn't where they at today, even when he took over, the competitiveness, they were tough in the games. They were losing, but they were tough. They wasn't one of those teams that's mark a W next to you. You didn't know if you get one. He just took them to a different level. They're a fun team to watch too. So I think it's going to be interesting playoffs.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
This is when we get hyped up with NBA because it changes. The play changes is different.
It flips. It's
even right now, it's different, isn't it? Even it's not even over yet, but you could just tell they're in playoff mode.
Right now, again, watching Golden State and the Lakers the other night, they're in playoff mode.
Oh, yeah, they're ready.
They're just ready. They're just in the way they're playing. The intensity is ratcheted up.
Yep.
It's almost like you turn the switch on. The regular season, they go through it. They go through the motions. I know they take load management, all that stuff. But when they get this time of year and they get on the door of the playoffs, when now they're only 5 or 6 games out of the playoffs, and then these teams are really trying to fight for position.
Right.
Like the Lakers and Golden State the other night, obviously they're aware of the situation with the positioning. So they're ratcheting up their play. So bottom line is now these guys are playing like this is the playoffs. Yeah. They're in playoff mode right now.
Oh, yeah, they are. And I know another team to watch out. I don't know how I let this slip because they've been playing. The LA Clippers.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sleep if you want to. Go ahead and sleep on them if you want to, because right now, Kawhi is looking like the old Kawhi. Harden is playing great.
Yeah, I know.
And even Zuba in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole team is just flowing good. They're playing good. That is, I said, man, that Western Conference playoffs is going to be just dynamite to watch.
I mean, that's what's going to be so great about the NBA is, first of all, as we just said, the way they're just jammed into one another in that Western Conference, they're on top of one another. And it could change. Again, some team loses 2 games, one team goes 2, wins 2. All of a sudden, that team, you could throw these examples out all day, but that they're so tightly wound between 3 and 8. We're really not going to know the positioning until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because it could come down to the last night of the NBA season, which is going to dictate especially in the West, going to dictate where those teams end up.
Yeah. And I believe next Saturday is the end of the season. Somewhere in there, that'd be the 12th. I'm thinking it's the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the end of the season right in there.
Yeah, let me tell you right.
Playoff game. I mean, you said the playing game started on the 15th, so. And that's
actually,
Maybe the 13th.
The 13th.
The Sunday. Okay.
It looks like that Sunday, which is April 13th. That will be Golden State. The Clippers, this is the other thing. When you look at like the Clippers' remaining games, they've got 5 remaining games. You brought them up. Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Sacramento. They end with Golden State at Golden State. That game at Golden State, the end of the last game of the year, could be the difference of being in the play-in or out of the play-in and getting a bye. That's the crazy part of this. When you look at Golden State and Golden State playing the Clippers, Golden State at home, that game could dictate maybe one of those teams getting in to the top 6 and not in the play-in tournament. Then the other team would have to play in the play-in tournament. That's how
that's
this
tight.
Right. That's why they're almost all in play-in mode right now, playoff mode right in, because of the way that West is structured. And again, that game, usually even in football, the last game of the season, doesn't mean a lot.
Right.
This
will.
Yes. I mean, the Clippers, if they beat Golden State, they might put Golden State in the play-in tournament, and they're out, and they're like at the 6th seed or the 5th seed.
Yeah. Yep.
So the NBA is just, to me, like I said, this is probably the best time of the season for the NBA. And you're getting out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, that's it. Now you're rolling right into the teeth of the NBA season that last week or so, where you're going to have an idea
what's going on,
but you're not going to know until the last game of the season, especially out west where those teams are going to fall.
Right. Start the playoffs and the NFL draft is the same week.
Yeah, same week. We had to get to the draft. Wow. Saturday morning sports page. Timeout. First quarter in the book. Western Reserve Radio.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. Or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are pretty slim. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one. But that's not why I play. My reason why? I love the competition.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to challenge myself.
My reason why is love for the game.
And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or onto the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay. Because there's every reason to believe we'll excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life.
There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back at you. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. 330-707-4202. Yeah, Dave Clark. If the playoffs started today, the Bulls would play the Heat and the Magic would play the Hawks in the East. Then the winner of the Bulls and the Heats would take on the Cavs. Magic and Hawks winner would take on the Celtics. Knicks would take on the Bucks. Pistons take the Pacers on. Then over on the West side, Mavericks and the Kings, we said the winner plays the Thunder. Clippers, Grizzlies. Winner takes the Rockets on. Lakers take on the Timberwolves, 3-6. Nuggets and the Warriors would be 4-5. But at the East is probably going to more, right, as of you look at the East, that looks like that might be the case, but you might have a little variance in the play-in teams, but I think the other teams are all going to fall where they are right now. But when you look at the West is a total crapshoot. We don't know with the West. The East looks a little bit more nailed down. But for the record, the April 15th to the 18th, those 4 days would be the play-in tournament, Tuesday to Friday. Then the actual playoffs, NBA playoffs, start April 19th, which is 2 weeks from today.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So, Dave Clark, on the game, what do you think today? Like, we have slide a little bit over to college basketball, then we'll obviously talk some NFL football. Florida and Auburn is the 6 o'clock game, 6:09. They're both on CBS, so you don't have to hunt around for cable.
Right.
TBS. And then the Houston Duke game and they're all 1 seeds. The way these teams have played this year, Florida and Auburn, I think you give a little bit of a lead to Florida.
Yeah.
But Auburn hasn't been getting, it seems like everybody thought, well, if there was a number 1 seed to get beat, it would probably be Auburn because they didn't end the season that they were a little rough.
Right.
But, that meant nothing. They went through the tournament pretty much. They had some real close games. So did Florida with UConn had a real close game, but all these teams survived. Of all those teams, I guess everybody seems to look at Duke and Florida as being at least the 2 favorites to get there. But I think these teams are relatively evenly matched. So Houston could give Duke all kinds of problems.
Yeah,
with the defense.
Right. That's what I'm wondering with all that.
And Duke is a young team.
And they play good defense. That's why it's so...
Right.
I don't know. It's where, I think it's Duke's to lose, as they say. They should win the whole thing, but crazier things have happened. And I can't say it would be crazy if Houston beat them because they have shown some signs of giving people problems, major problems.
The last Duke loss was February, I believe it was 8th to the Clemson Tigers. That was their last loss. The Blue, yeah. So they've been on a roll. Now, that goes 2 ways. People could always say, maybe they're due to lose.
Right.
And, they've played great. They've had now they're going to have about a week off.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad. Yeah, February 8th, Clemson, they lost at Clemson 77-71 was their last loss. Since then, they've been pretty much on a roll. And since then, they've pretty much, from what I've seen in the tournament, they haven't had, looking at their tournament, Arizona gave them a decent game.
Yeah, a little bit in there. They did a little, but they haven't had adversity.
Not really. Alabama, a little bit, but they beat Alabama by 20. I never thought Alabama was kind of not really in the game. Arizona gave them a good game. They only beat them by 7. The other 2 games were Baylor and Mount St. Mary's were two massive blowouts.
Right. And against Arizona, I mean, it was tight. Some things was happening, but I always had the feeling the Dukes got this game. But it was some moments in there that was tough, at times. But have they really been like really challenged? Really challenged. They haven't. So you wonder how they're going to react in a situation like that. Can Houston play well enough to cause that and see if there's any breakdown in their game then? But they have dominated, and can they continue to do that? We'll see.
That's going to be the question. I mean, like you said, I know these tournaments, when it gets to the Final Four, at least with these four teams, they're evenly matched. This is going to be probably one of the better Final Fours. I know, was it last year, 2 years ago? It was Florida, not A&M. Was that Florida Atlantic?
Yeah.
San Diego State.
They made it.
And then UConn, and I think that was at Bama. That was the 2023 Final Four. Yeah. It wasn't the problem with the Cinderella teams. You don't want the Cinderella teams to go real far.
Yeah, the slipper's not around long. Sometimes then when they get beat, when it finally catches up, man, is there a beat down?
Yeah, the Final Four from 2023 was UConn beating Miami 72-59, not much of a game. And then San Diego State beat Florida Atlantic. And then ultimately, UConn just disposed of San Diego State 76-59, which was not much of a game.
Right.
And the last 2 years, UConn won back-to-back. Those games really weren't competitive.
They didn't really, in neither one of them.
No.
And
UConn dominated. Even last year, they played Alabama in the final because, they beat Purdue in the final. They beat Alabama in the semifinal, 86-72. And then Purdue beat NC State 63-50. NC State probably shouldn't have been there, but they were. Right. But then UConn beat Duke 75-60 in the final. Not competitive, really, at all. UConn won both games. In fact, UConn blew through the tournament 2 years in a row where they really weren't challenged at all.
Yeah.
So this year, these teams have been challenged. At Duke, maybe not so much. With Arizona would be the only one, but at least you have the top four seeds in. Mm-hmm. So these should be competitive games and be worth watching.
As far as the committee and who they put as number one seeds, it really worked out for them because they haven't been competitive, and figuring and hoping that their number one seeds they pick, with them all being there, you look for a nice Final Four, really competitive Final Four, and hopefully we'll get that. Two good games that'll be intriguing, and I hope that's what we get today. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm hoping we can.
Hopefully we don't have any snoozers.
Hate those.
Getting into the NFL and hit that doorway. Boy, these mock drafts are getting real interesting.
Yeah.
I've got one yesterday that had the Giants still taking Shedeur Sanders, even though they've got Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson's under a year deal. Mm-hmm. And they got Jameis Winston as the backup. Now there's a lot of mocks have the Giants actually either taking Travis Hunter if he falls to him.
Mm-hmm.
But people think Cleveland will take Travis Hunter and not Shedeur Sanders. I went on last week, and I still think, I don't care. I don't know how Cleveland does not pick Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
But
just seeing some of the strategy and the things they're talking about, I can't see them doing it. I can see them saying, hey, we're going to first put one of the most dynamic pass rushes ever Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett.
Right.
And I can see them doing that, but I also with those extra picks that they got, see them coming back in the first round and actually taking Shedeur or Jackson Dart. I could see them coming back in doing that. If those guys are gone, then I think they'll hold steady and then take that guy from that I always talking Shook from Louisville.
Right.
I think they'll take him if they have to. But they're going to get a quarterback. But in a way, I kind of think that's the thing they may do. They everything checks out with Abdul Carter's foot. They might do that. If something seems a little, then it could be Travis Hunter because that's a one in a lifetime type of guy that you can take. So I think that's the same thing with the Giants. You got 3 guys on your roster now. You got 3 quarterbacks with Wilson, Winston, and DeVito.
Right.
All under contract. Now you're going to draft a 4th one. I still think they may because you got to look for the future. They'll send DeVito to the practice squad.
Yeah, they'll put DeVito. That's not a reach. Yeah.
I mean, they'd easily do that.
Right.
Keep him around.
Right. They'll keep DeVito. I'm sure it's in the contract where they could put him on the practice squad and keep him there.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Giant history in quarterback injuries, sadly, and I don't wish it on any of the quarterbacks they have, but if you look at the Giant history, usually their quarterbacks get hurt because the line's not that good. Hopefully that's not going to be the case this year, but the reality is you've got to at least think about it. So if Shedeur Sanders is available, you're committed to Russell Wilson for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You put Tommy Cutlets there, DeVito on the practice squad. You bring Shedeur in as your 3rd string. But let him take a year like Mahomes did with Kansas City.
Yeah,
take a year and learn and let him just kind of get into it a little bit with maybe he might be your starter next year because Russell Wilson's a year deal and Jameis is a backup. I mean, you're not going to roll into next year if you get rid of Russell Wilson. That's the other thing with the Giants. If you sit back and look at this, they go, well, they won't draft Shedeur Sanders. And I thought, well, wait a minute. What would you do next year? You're probably not going to have Russell Wilson next year. You're going to need a quarterback next year.
Unless he plays, above what they're thinking and they re-sign him. That could happen.
And that could be the other possibility if Russell Wilson exceeded everybody's expectations. He might.
Yeah, and he might.
He might.
And then another thing is, depending on hopefully how they produce, they might be in the running. They don't want to be in that area though, but if they happen to be, they'll be in where all the quarterbacks is coming out, so they have an opportunity there too. But I still think they're going to take some kind of quarterback. If they don't, even if they talked about yesterday, both of those teams, Cleveland and the Giants, got some ammunition to get back in the first round in the latter part in the 20s.
Right.
And if they can do that or know they can do, they said they both even got enough. They don't know if they'll want to give up those assets, but they got enough to get maybe like down to 10, 9 and 10 if they had to come back into the first round. So that's why it's so intriguing, But I thought Shedeur yesterday when they said they couldn't throw the deep ball, and I don't know. They said he couldn't throw deep, and I guess that went to the Buggy Brooks said. I guess that went to the wayside because his workout was yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was just bombs away.
Yeah.
With ease, just throwing it deep, 50, 60 yards downfield.
Yeah, I saw him do that at Colorado.
Me too. That's what I didn't understand.
What do they come up with that?
They interviewed Deion. He said, well, that's just how it is. People put out things. He said, but if you look at the film.
But if you watch him play, I never
see him through deep. He threw deep a lot.
Right. I saw him with Colorado throw the deep ball all the time.
They said he couldn't throw deep.
And they're saying it now. They come up with this, and
it's they do stuff to all kind of players. We done seen it every year. Something they put
they
out
either talk them. They try to talk themselves out or talk themselves into a player.
Yeah, isn't it something?
And that's what always
I hate they do that to a lot of players. A lot of players that do it to them.
Well,
all the time.
I'm going to go a little conspiracy theory for just a little bit here. The Raiders sign
Gino,
thanks. Gino to a big contract extension.
Right.
Okay. This is what I think. They're drafting at 6. I think if Shedeur Sanders was going to drop to 6, I don't think they would have given Gino a contract extension. But I think the Raiders know Shedeur Sanders is not going to be there. He's going to be gone, and they're not going to trade up and get him. Now, this mock draft has them in a couple other mock drafts had them taking Ashton Genty out of Boise State. And this mock draft has them. But this mock draft has Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Giants getting Shedeur Sanders 3. I think the Raiders know that Sanders isn't going to be there.
Right.
And that's why they signed
went on and did
Gino
long-term
contract long-term, give him a 3-year extension because they know he's our guy. There's not going to be no Shedeur Sanders for us. I think if they realized or really thought for 1 minute that Sanders was going to drop, I don't know if they would have given Gino the contract extension, but I think they realized Shedeur Sanders is not going to be there, so they went ahead and they signed him because I think these teams know pretty much what's going on, even though
they find out.
They know. They find out. Yeah. They have inside people.
Yeah, he's not going. Who's for? New England.
New England's for. This mock has got Abdul Carter going to New England because they've got Hunter 1 going. I think Cam Ward going to Tennessee seems to be pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
They've got the Browns taking Hunter 2. I think what's going to happen, Shedeur's going to the Browns and then the Giants would take Travis Hunter 3 is what I think.
It might flip.
They would flip. Then they've got Abdul Carter going to New England 4, which makes sense because defense, that's what's right up alley. Jacksonville, obviously, taking Mason Graham out of Michigan to tackle, which makes sense. Then the Raiders sitting at 6. They would take Genty out of Boise State because they definitely need the runner.
Right.
Then this is interesting because this has the Jets taking Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I seen that one.
Out of Mississippi because they don't know if Justin Fields is going to be, quote, the guy, but they have him under contract. But again, that's only for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
and I almost think they have to take one.
I think they do.
I thought if he slides and the Jets look, I think you got to take him. I don't care if you do got Justin Fields.
No, I think you take him.
We don't know if he's a proven product or what he's going to be. I think you have to take him.
I think you take a quarterback if you're the Jets.
Yep. And I just think it's going to be some funny things that may happen. And I hope that the Raiders looking for a receiver too, another receiver. I know the McMillan guy, they like him, but I still think knowing Pete Carroll, thinking, unless he changed a little bit, what does he always like to do?
Defense,
run the football, and then he'll throw the ball, but he runs the football.
He wants a running game.
It just seems like they should take Genty unless they fool us and say, no, we're taking Hampton.
Well,
and they could do that.
And they could do that too.
And that would really shock people. Then Genty would be in Chicago then because he ain't getting past. I don't think he get past 10. He's not getting past them, and Chicago wouldn't take him.
Well, right now, if you break it down, this mock has Chicago taking Amon Membois, the junior out of Missouri, as the offensive tackle.
Okay.
And then the 49ers are taking Will Campbell, the other O-lineman out of LSU. And then this one's got McMillan going to Dallas. The wide receiver.
Yeah. They need it. They need somebody to take pressure off of CeeDee Lamb.
Right. They got to get another.
Because they get somebody like that, they'll be dynamic.
Right. They need another alternative. They need another, like you said, CeeDee Lamb's really their only guy. If they get,
I think you take the receiver because I think you can get a back in the second round.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be.
There's a lot of backs.
That's one
and
thing.
They do need another back. No doubt. But they signed Javonte Williams, young, and they got Miles Sanders. But I still think you take a back, but you could wait. I think a receiver is more something you need right away. The Cowboys, they do definitely need a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at these running backs coming out, this is going to be maybe one of the better, if not the best draft in quite a while with running backs, that you could probably pick up some of these running backs in the maybe second round. Like you've got Genty, you mentioned, it seems like Hampton is second.
Yeah.
Caleb Johnson, Trevion Henderson, Deion Sampson, Quinshon Junkins, Ohio State, Devin Neal, and Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo are the ones that are listed as your top running back. So you got a lot of guys here.
Yeah, Henderson is my sleeper guy.
Right.
Because I think he can go places and he can catch the ball, he can run inside and outside.
Right.
And then something else that was shown on the NFL Network. He's a good pass blocker.
Yes.
And that's what you got to be able to do in the NFL if you want to be a 3-down back.
Right.
Is to be able to block in pass protection. So he's a guy that, I even seen this was early mock drafts. I seen Raiders taking him. They was taking, I think, a receiver and then taking him in the second round. Early second round is taking Henderson.
Take Henderson.
And I said, that's not bad either, But they definitely got to get a dynamic back, though. They have to get one to do the stuff that Pete wants to do. And then he might get some of his guys because they still on, I think the free agent was to get, he likes Dobbins.
Right.
But he also likes, what's the guy that he had at Seattle that went there to we'll call him San Diego. Forget it. I don't care if they're in LA.
No,
the Chargers.
They're the Chargers.
But he was the guy that he didn't play in Seattle. He played in Baltimore. I can't think of his name though. Came from Baltimore free agency and was at the Chargers. Him and Dobbins both was there. And
last year.
Yeah. And he's the guy, I think the year before, led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. So that's a guy that you'll want to get because that's the kind he likes to pound people and then do stuff. That's Pete Carroll. So I think they lean towards the running back. And I almost agree with you. I was thinking something funny going to happen, but I do agree that it seemed like Shedeur is going to go to the Browns or the Giants. It seems like it. I just don't think you roll into the season with Kenny Pickett.
No, I don't think Kenny Pickett. I mean, if you're a Browns fan.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing we haven't discussed is, the two other, and we'll get to it in the second half of the show, but you have the Kirk Cousins situation here. What are you going to do? I mean, I think he will get traded.
Right.
I don't think he's got a no trade clause, but I believe he gets traded.
Right.
The only question is going to be obviously where.
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers is kind of waiting on Aaron Rodgers.
Somebody said they think that deal is actually done, but not on paper.
You mean Rodgers in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. They say they think that's a done situation, but it's not on paper. Are they waiting just to get it even a little closer to draft day? I forgot the reason. They said getting it closer to draft day for something because they really think that is done. So we'll see. Everything's so weird, but to a certain extent, I believe that too. That's where he's going to go. And I still think Pittsburgh is going to draft a quarterback. Let Jackson Dart be there. I think they'll still take him.
Well, I think of all these quarterbacks, I'm convinced that Sanders is either going to go to the Browns or the Giants. I know the Giants signed. They've got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and our man Tommy Cutlett's there, third string. But the reality is, if Shedeur's there, I think that's who they end up taking. And then they put Tommy Cutlets on the practice squad and bring Shedeur in and work him in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's getting past Cleveland because I don't know what Cleveland's going to do unless Cleveland's going to engineer a trade for Cousins. Because I don't think Cleveland can go into the season with Pickett as your guy. And as much as I know some of the Pittsburgh, and it's like, I don't see the Steelers walking into the season with Mason Rudolph as being the guy either.
Yeah.
And
even though he got the vote of confidence from Ben Roethlisberger.
Right. Yeah, I know.
And stuff
Last
like that.
famous words. Right.
Yeah. Well, he just said he knows what to do. And I do agree with that.
I agree, but you're not rolling into next season he's not going to, not next, you don't want him to be your starter next year. He's a good backup.
You definitely want Rodgers. And I think that, but if you can't get him.
You trade for Cousins.
Yeah, if you can get him, because the problem is, I seen what happened with the Browns. They said they was negotiating, but they can't get what Atlanta wants is for Cleveland to pay most of his contract. They can't absorb it.
And they can't absorb it because of the cap situation with Watson.
And it's the same thing with Pittsburgh. They can't absorb a lot of that contract.
Because of the
if that holds it up, you still go and draft a quarterback.
But then you draft a quarterback.
But you still would have to start Mason Rudolph because you're not going to start your
you're not going to start your rookie.
Yeah. So I mean now
if Rodgers doesn't sign with Pittsburgh.
But I think he is. I think that's why they said they think it's a done deal.
I would believe
behind the scenes. And then he made a statement yesterday. First statement in a while. I wouldn't mind tutoring a young guy if he's coming in. So for him to say that, he know they probably just draft a quarterback. He's the guy. He stays a year or two, get that guy ready, and he'll take over.
That's it. Saturday morning sports page back after a timeout on Western
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem Sports Talk is on the iMedia One Network, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier. Then make sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Saturday morning sports page back at you. 330-707-4202. Yeah, Dave Clark, as we were kind of navigating our way with the draft, it looks like Rodgers will probably be a Steeler unless. Well, here's the other question: where would he play? Would he wait for Minnesota? Because that's the other.
It's the only thing he could be. That's it. I mean, he could be waiting to see what Minnesota's going to do.
What? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you do that, because as long as they said, JJ looks healthy enough, I don't know what you're waiting for, because it's. I mean, I do understand Minnesota. Kevin O'Connell thinks they can go ahead and go forward. They need to, in a way, because he got the thing about it as a young quarterback. He do got a lot of weapons around him. So that's nice to have that type of weaponry around you as a rookie. I think that, even though Jaden Daniels was great anyway, but I thought it helped having what he had around him. He had veterans, good running backs, good receivers, and made his job a lot easier to flow. And that might help J.J. McCarthy. Just the thing of him being there all last year, not playing, but seeing how the game runs, how it goes, knowing everything. He's going to be a lot more comfortable. And if he's healthy enough, I don't know what Rodgers will be waiting for, unless they feel, hey, he's not healthy enough. But I don't hear nothing like that coming out of that. They haven't talked. They said he's ready to go for OTAs and everything. So I don't know. I don't know what he'd be just hanging around. I can't think of any other jobs other than that. But something, I mean, we know how football is. You get what's our guy down in Miami, Tua. You get banged around, and hey, we got to call in a veteran. They might have I'm sure they're going to draft a quarterback. They may have a rookie on the roster, but they'll take Rodgers and try to get something going before anything else. So,
well, that's the other question too, is when you start looking at, the mock drafts, but you're really looking at some of these teams' needs. And I guess that's the other question you would have is, like a team like Miami, what would they do as far as, right now they have the 16th pick in the draft. This draft has them, or mock draft has them taking Barron out of Texas cornerback. What do they potentially do? I mean, do they, I guess, and this is showing that they're going to have this would be that they would get the 16th pick, a projected trade with the Arizona Cardinals. So they would be actually trading with the Cardinals for the 16th pick overall. Mm-hmm. And they would go after, he would obviously the cornerback out of Texas, Barron. I don't know. I guess it's Jahdae Daniel Barron out of Texas. Do they pick him if his mock draft is right? And do they trade up with Arizona to get him so they would have the two cornerbacks? I don't know. Again, what's great about these mocks is you just never know. This mock draft has the Steelers actually taking Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina, 21, because they're going to replace Najee Harris, who's now with the Chargers.
And I think I really think they want to get it back, because I don't think they want to just have Jaylen Warren.
No,
because that's what you want him, because he makes big plays.
Right, good
but you want to compliment. That's just how it's done today, anyway.
Yeah, the NFL,
they do it a lot.
There's no back who's ball dominant like he's the back way back when we played.
Another guy that
would watch football. You had two, I remember years ago with the St. Louis Cardinals had the two backs. Was it MacArthur Lane and
Metcalf?
Yeah, Metcalf. And then they had 1 year, they had the guy Jim Otis out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
Played, I think it was was it MacArthur Lane? And they had
or it might have been him and it might have been him and Metcalf. Or it might have been MacArthur Lane, because he was older, so it might have been MacArthur Lane.
Yeah, I think it was MacArthur Lane and Jim Otis. And that's what I remember watching that Cardinal team. Mm-hmm. And that's who they alternated those guys, and they ran the ball all the time.
Yeah.
And Otis was a big a guy out, and so was MacArthur Lane. MacArthur Lane had the speed,
Right.
but Otis was also strong. He didn't quite the speed, but he had the power, and they would just beat. I remember when watching them play, and it was like, Woody Hayes, Ohio State, just run the 3 yards in the cloud of dust. And I think Jim Hart was the quarterback. I'm going back many, many years, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, Otis.
Otis, and I think it was MacArthur Lane in that backfield with Jim Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was just banging handing that ball off, and they were coming at you.
Yeah, because back then I'm trying to think. It might have. I mean, he was partly there. They had another receiver too, but they had Roy Green.
Yeah, Roy Green.
He played, and he was a guy that people don't know. He was a two-way guy too. Now that I think about Roy Green played defensive back and wide receiver. I forgot about that. Nobody brings that up ever, and I forgot about he was successful at doing both of them too.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean. That's the thing that when you look at these players back then, Coryell was the coach. I'm looking at the 73. Maybe it wasn't. I just remember that they had, I was just trying
they
to
always
get.
Had the two-back system. I know with Coryell they did.
Yeah, they had Coryell. This is the 73 team. They had Donnie Anderson, Terry Metcalf, and Jim Otis. Maybe it was the next year. I just remember that it's watching them play.
That has Metcalf and Otis, right?
Yeah, this is Metcalf and Otis. 73.
I think MacArthur Lane was even before that.
He might have been before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their running backs. I have to go back. Why do I think for some reason? Coryell, what were they in 70? Wait a minute. Yeah.
That was just something that Coryell did. He did it at the Chargers. I mean, he used to have a guy named, what was his name? Don. Can't remember Don's last number 33. Don.
Was he with the Chargers?
Yeah, he's running back, and they had Lionel James too. I mean, they always had where they used, that was just a part of his system. He used multiple backs. Back in the day, it was ball dominant. You had Simpson, and Simpson got the ball. That's who got the ball. Franco Harris, that's who got the ball. That's just how it was back in those days. But today they use 2, 3, sometimes 3 backs. So I think that's something they want to do.
And that's kind of what you get. I mean, yeah. I was just looking.
I'm definitely interested.
I think it was I probably erred. It was Metcalf and Otis.
Yeah, I remember them two playing, but I remember when MacArthur Lane did play with the Cardinals.
He might have been. MacArthur Lane probably was after.
Yeah, it could have even been after too.
It might have been after. I got to look it up. I have to do my research here, but yeah, the bottom line is getting back to what they're going to do, at least with the Chargers have Najee Harris. Again, these mock drafts are kind of all over the board, but that's what makes it so great is you could speculate, which is probably all we like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially mock drafts are nothing but pure, unadulterated speculation here.
Right. Yep, that's true.
Now, the Bengals, this is what I thought was really interesting is they have the Bengals right now taking a defensive end. Sam Hubbard retired kind of unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And now they're having trouble signing Trey Hendrickson.
Yep.
My take, because it's the Bengals, I never really thought the Bengals were ever going to sign him, even though they kept saying that
they would.
They were going to. I never really thought they were because they already signed T. Higgins, but they didn't give T. Higgins like a long deal.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that the deal they really signed T. Higgins is almost a quasi 1 year deal they can almost get out of after 1 year. I mean, it's a 2 year deal, but
with T. Higgins,
yeah, it's not a. They were talking a little bit about it on Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. He's got a 4 year deal, $115 million. But why do I think that like this is the kind of contract? I could be wrong. I thought the Bengals can kind of it's almost kind of like a 2 year deal. You know, these NFL are kind of these contracts. They tell you, it's a 4 year deal, but then like the Giants had Jones, it was only a 2 year deal, and they were able to get out of it.
Now, I mean, it might have some flexibility when it gets to the third year after you play 2 seasons. T. Higgins.
Yeah,
I don't think his agent would want to do a 4 year deal, and then this team hasn't. He might want his player to have flexibility, but not the team.
Here's what it is. I knew
that. No agent to do that.
It said they have a potential out 2027, 2 year, $58 million, and they would take a dead cap hit of $7.5 million dead cap hit.
Okay.
They kind of have it sounds like to me with T. Higgins, they have it it's a 2 year deal. They kind of have an out.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But getting back to the original premise, Hendrickson, they haven't signed him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they are going to sign him. I have a feeling what the Bengals are going to do because they are the Bengals. Let's call it for what it is. I think they're going to draft. I won't be shocked if they don't draft 2 defensive linemen because this is a great draft for D linemen.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that anyway because they got to shore up the defense.
They have to shore it up.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to go heavy defense. The Bengals will go on heavy defensive side of the ball anyway. Mm-hmm. And maybe they get an offensive lineman just to get, to add to a little depth there. But because of the problem was last year, the defense pretty much cost them a chance to get into the playoffs, especially that Bengal game when they started the season losing to the Patriots at home.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't good for them.
No, and they dug themselves in that rabbit hole, sort of to speak. They couldn't get out of with all those losses in the beginning of the season.
They're trying to shore up things. Like they brung what's his name, Bell, back as a defensive back, but they got to get another safety. They need linebackers, and they definitely need tackle and end. So I think there's gonna be a defensive draft, and I think they're gonna go at all 3 levels. They're gonna get somebody at every level, and I think there will be 2 at the defensive line level, an inside guy and an outside guy. And whether they get Hendrickson signed, hopefully they can, but if not, maybe they'll pick, especially the draft is the thing because they can't get him signed and he's not playing. I mean, I guess they can franchise him. I don't know if they got another franchise tag, but if they can franchise him and keep him around for a season. But I don't know if they want to pay that onto their cap. So the best thing to do at draft time is trade him and get some more draft picks and maybe even pick up a player in the trade. But that's tough to lose a guy like that that's got 17 sacks in the last couple of years. He done did that twice, I think.
Right.
So, that's hard to give up. But they're going to have to do something.
But they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, they got to do something. They got to get this. The main thing is they can get him signed. They need to get him signed, but economics.
Well, they got to play with the cap, and they got to get that right. Yeah. I was just looking at MacArthur Lane's numbers. He actually was a Packer, but he was with
71. He was with him.
He was with the Cardinals in 71. But I think when I was referring to Otis, it was Metcalf. It was Metcalf and Otis. That were the 2 backs that they were running. There wasn't MacArthur was a little bit. He did play with Otis, but it wasn't. He was traded in 72. He was a Packer.
Yeah.
But Terry Metcalf, it was, because I'm thinking mid-70s when it was Jim Hart, but it was Metcalf and Otis for the two primary running backs for the St. Louis Cardinal football team back then, playing in the old Busch Stadium. Right.
Yep. I look here, he played the running backs, and I remember all of them too. Sid Edwards and Johnny Rowland.
Yeah, Johnny Rowland.
That used to be their main back.
Right. Johnny Rowland was their main back then.
Back then.
Those St. Louis Cardinal teams were always, I thought, very entertaining to watch because Ed Coryell was the coach, but they did a lot. And the team was, I thought Jim Hart was a good quarterback, but you had like a Johnny Rowland in the backfield. You had MacArthur Lane, and you had a lot of different
guys.
Looks coming at you, but it was always really cool to watch them play. And it was actually, it was back when I was referring to, it was Metcalf, not MacArthur Lane. It was Otis and Metcalf, and they were the two guys that were just, Terry Metcalf was just great player. I love Terry Metcalf. And he was just,
Stop on a dime.
Oh my gosh, him and Jim Otis back in the mid-70s for the Cardinals. You talk about two guys. If you were a defense, Metcalf had the speed, Otis had the power.
Right.
And they would just drive you crazy because Metcalf would come at you with that speed.
Yep.
And then if they handed it to Otis, he would just knock you down.
Yeah. And I'm looking back at that team when they had him, and I said, who was there? Other receivers, but I was always thinking about Roy Green, but it was back. It was Ahmad Rashad. And the other receiver, and I don't know how I can forget him, Mel Gray.
Yeah, Mel Gray.
That's a guy that you could not cover,
No.
Mel Gray. He just blow right past you. How can I forget Mel Gray? That guy
Mel Gray was a great player. I loved watching that Cardinal team.
And they used to bombs away.
Yeah.
Jim Hart would bomb.
Hart would throw it.
And you had
he almost,
Smith at tight end.
Yeah, Jackie Smith, the tight end. But I think back in those days, I think Hart just he probably just told Mel Gray, look, just go. I'll throw you the ball. Like he just knew you're going to go down.
I used to think that's what they did.
And I think what they did. I just figured Hart would just rear back, and he knew I'm telling Gray to go down to the post. I'm going to throw it. You know where it's going to be roughly. I'm just going to throw it to you, and you're going to catch it.
And he'll go get it.
And he would.
And that's what I used to think they did to him and Cliff Branch and all those guys. Warren Wells when he's with the Rays. Just go deep. Nobody's going to cover you. They can't cover you.
No.
So just go.
Warren Wells is probably those Raider teams, the old Oakland Raider teams, with Warren Wells, and they had Cliff Branch, the Mad Bomber, the Daryl LaMonica,
Mike Ciani, another receiver.
Mike Ciani.
He was just like Blint. People probably didn't know that about, but he was just like Blitnikoff, just catch everything.
Right, Blitnikoff, right.
It's just them days was great.
They were those.
I just love them days.
Yeah, they were great.
How can you not love them days when you had a guy named Speedy Duncan?
Yeah, Speedy Duncan.
I used to just wait for him to get a punt return because it was. He played for the Chargers. Speedy Duncan.
Yeah, when you break those teams down, like you had like those Cardinal teams. Yeah, Don Coryell was the coach. I'm looking at the 74 team. Had running back here it is. This is the Pro Bowlers for that team that went 10-4. This is the 74 St. Louis Cardinal football team. You had Dan Dierdorf was a Pro Bowl tackle. Jim Hart, Pro Bowl quarterback. Terry Metcalf, running back. Mel Gray, your wide receiver, was a Pro Bowler. And Roger Worley, the corner, was the Pro Bowler.
Now, which coach probably gone? He always looked like he was already about 40 or 50 years old. The safety, Larry Wilson. Remember him?
Oh, yeah. Larry Wilson. You're right.
He looked you, but he had no teeth in his mouth.
None.
His teeth.
No.
Boy, that guy used to light guys.
Yeah, Larry Wilson wasn't. I'd have to look him up, but yeah, he wasn't on the 70.
He might have been retired.
He might have been retired. I got to look him up, but
I remember him. Yeah, number 8. I remember him.
Yeah, Jim Otis and Terry Metcalf was the starters in the backfield. Donnie Anderson, but it was Otis and Metcalf.
Yeah,
on that team, and that team went 10-4, and then he had Mel Gray to catch, and he had Mel Gray to go get the ball. Jim Hart. And then Dan Dierdorf was the tackle, and Conrad Dobler.
Yeah.
Was the other guard.
Biting people's fingers off.
Yeah, if he wasn't leg whipping them.
Yeah. Biting fingers, leg whips. He did everything.
Bite. He did everything.
He did poke guys in the eyes under the...
Right.
I mean, this guy was...
Conrad.
He was a rough character, boy.
But those, again, you could go back when you look at these teams, and they played it that, those stadiums they had back in the 70s were criminal. Like that Busch Stadium where that AstroTurf, which was, it was Three Rivers, Riverfront Stadium, and Busch Stadium were those cookie cutter, and they were
about Philly.
And Philly, Veterans Stadium.
Don't leave that out. That's terrible.
Yeah, they had a jail they had the jail.
On that mess.
Right, you actually got to play there.
That stuff is though. I'd rather play on my living room carpet.
Yeah, it was safer
than that thing. Oh my God, that was like playing on the street. It was like playing.
Yeah, it was playing street.
Yeah.
If it would be like
stuff was on
if they threw a thin layer of carpet on your street.
Yep, that's what it was like.
Because all the four stadiums that always stuck out because they were always that cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Because in the 70s,
that's when
they were always football and baseball.
Yep.
Reds, Riverfront were the Bengals, right? It was the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so hard. Then they had the other Three Rivers was like Riverfront. You couldn't know. I wouldn't know one from the other. And Veterans Stadium in Philly. I always said to myself, if they closed my eyes and put me in one of the stadiums, I couldn't tell you which was which because they all looked the same. Like those stadiums, they had that same round, circular, domey. It wasn't a dome, but it was all circular.
Yeah.
And it was a baseball field, which was all AstroTurf carpet. And then they turned around and made it a football field.
And then had those infield spots going into the car. I mean,
zippers. They had I think they put zippers, and that's where all the players complained because they would blow out their knees, getting your foot caught in that zipper when you were going over the middle. And then Philadelphia Veterans Stadium had bad dead spots where players. There was the one player, I don't remember, but he blew both his knee out.
The guy I told you about, Joe, he did it in a preseason game. He was the receiver that played opposite Jerry Rice in college.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas. Went to the Redskins, blew both his knees out on the same play.
On that Philadelphia, at that Veterans Stadium.
Came across the
because
field,
he came
caught 1 foot in that seam, and then he came down,
he just
popped the other one.
Popped the other.
Ended his career. And back then, you didn't have the technology of getting knees like they need. So he was done. Because I think he blew his ACL, MCL
out.
All kind of ligaments. He was done. And the thing about it, he had they said he had the possibility of being because he had the work ethic like Jerry Rice. They played together in college. And I know I've seen them both firsthand, so I know what the guy was like. And then to see him lose his career on one instance like that, that's unbelievable.
Well, the player I remember that ruined his career, which I would have thought he would have been he could have been a potential Hall of Fame running back in my
I know who that is.
Well, yeah, Kajana Carter.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of him, but yeah.
Kajana, Kurt Warner, was it Warner? What's his name?
From Penn State?
Penn State.
Kurt
Warner out of Penn State. Two unbelievable. To me, I saw Kajana Carter play at Penn State. He went to Westerville South High School. And he was an unbelievable high school player, went to Penn State, was an unbelievable college, one of the best college backs I ever saw play.
Right.
He was always one broken tackle from a touchdown. He was electric. Mm-hmm. And I thought he would be... he could have been a Hall of Fame running back in the NFL because he was just an unbelievable. And I believe he blew his knee out, and I think it was in a preseason game. I think it was Seattle, or it was. I have to look it up. It was on an AstroTurf.
Oh yeah,
and he blew the knee, and he was never quite the same. I think he tried to play, but he was a shell of the runner that he was in college. And because he was playing on. I believe it was AstroTurf.
Yeah, it was an AstroTurf. Yeah. And another guy who I thought you was getting ready to say He did have some successful seasons, but I'm telling you, most electrifying back, one of them, Billy Sims.
Yeah, breakaway Billy Sims.
All he's doing is cutting on the Astro. I think they're in Minnesota.
So it was this,
the Vikings.
The Vikings.
All he's doing is making a little cut.
Right.
And blew that, and he was done.
Never same. No, because he played in the Silver Dome on that AstroTurf, and that was brutal AstroTurf then. I used to, years ago, I lived in Toledo. I'd go up to a couple games and watch Detroit play. But he was a great, unbelievable running back.
Yeah.
And he should have been he would have been an NFL Hall of Fame running back.
That guy was.
But sadly, another great running back that just totally blew out his knee.
Yep.
And he was never the same after that. Like I said, to me, Kajana Carter was probably the best, one of the best running backs ever to play, and probably in Westerville South history, but in Penn State history, he's in the discussion as one of their greatest backs. Would have been a sure first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, I could never believe he was an unbelievable player out of Penn State, and then he just totally blew out that knee, and he was just never right.
Right. Yep.
And he never came back from that. Yeah, talking about an 83-yard touchdown he made on the first play in the Rose Bowl, 1995 Rose Bowl. Yeah, I remember him playing it, and he just sadly, like I said, you remember certain players, running backs that played on really bad fields.
Yeah.
And ultimately, and always people are always blaming the owners, because the owners, that was always the question is, you have great talent running backs or all players, and you're putting them on those crappy fields, risking their career because the playing surface was so bad. You're investing all the salaries, but then you don't want to invest in a good surface for these guys to play on.
Yeah. Made no sense.
I mean, Saturday Morning Sports Page, back after this. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark, Saturday Morning Sports Page.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The year was 1907. The Cubs won the World Series and the Ford Model R hit the assembly line. While here in Ohio, school administrators came together to form the Ohio High School Athletic Association. One thing that hasn't changed since 1907 is the dedication of the OHSAA to education-based athletics in Ohio. School sports teach responsibility, sportsmanship, and life lessons that stay with students long after their playing days are over. The OHSAA seeks to prepare students not for the next level of sport, but for the next level of life.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back at you. 330-707-4202. Get in. Talk sports. Yeah, Dave Clark. Kajana Carter tore his ACL during his first preseason game with the Bengals in 1995, which sidelined him for his entire rookie season. So obviously significantly impacted his career. He tore it on the, I knew it was AstroTurf. It was the actual Silver Dome AstroTurf, Detroit Lions, where Billy Sims played.
Yep.
And I remember Sims having, on that AstroTurf was that indoor field, but that was like rock. That was another.
Yeah.
That was a dome.
Mm-hmm.
But that AstroTurf in that, and I believe it was a seam is where he tore the knee, tore his ACL, and that was in 1995. And that, to a large extent, really impacted his NFL career, and he really never recovered quite. He was never the same after that.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he never had the burst that he used to have, so that's why he called it quits.
Yeah.
He
only had 4 seasons.
Yeah, because he said he was just like a shell. He was never.
Right. He was never the same.
Yeah. Yep.
But I never saw a player, like I just remember watching, and I always thought all the college backs, but man, when he was with Penn State,
mm-hmm.
he was like an electrical man. He was like just fire and go down the field. I mean, I used to love watching Penn State because I was just thinking, all right, I want to see Kajana Carter score a touchdown, because you knew every time he touched the ball,
it's an opportunity for sure.
He was just that close to score. And it didn't matter where he was on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
because he could outrun everybody, and he had power and speed. I never saw a guy quite with the power and speed that he had.
Yeah.
It's sad because, like I said, I figured the Bengals are going to draft him. This guy could be, I thought definitely he could be a first ballot Hall of Fame running back. Then I remember watching that game. I remember, seeing that when he blew out that knee on that Silver Dome AstroTurf. I was just like, is he going to be, and he was never right.
Yep. Never right again.
And there are degrees of ACL tears, and his was obviously a severe one.
Yep. And it's just things they couldn't do.
No, back then.
Compared to what they can do today. So,
other news out there, the Chargers signed Trey Lance as a third string.
The Chargers did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he was contemplating. Well, his rights in the CFL to one of the CFL teams was there for him to sign, but he signs with the Chargers, which is good. Get him there. He's in a good place being out there with
he'll be out
Herbert.
there. Herbert, Heineke, and
did they keep Heineke out there?
It looks like they have for now, at least. Yeah. When you look at the roster, it looks like on their depth chart.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't think they still have the guy from North Dakota State that was a quarterback at North Dakota State. I can't think of his name now. They had him
last year.
Yeah, all the years before the last 3 years. He was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of there. And I got to see, is Trey Lance's brother? I think he's coming out this year. Trey Lance's brother. He's a receiver from North Dakota State.
Oh, he's okay.
Oh, man, he catch everything. He is a guy in traffic, contested catches. I just didn't know if he was a senior, or I think he could have come out, but I don't know if he did. I don't know if he declared to come out.
He is the Bryce Lance.
He is a draft guy. He might have another season. I don't know.
Let's see. He is. Yeah, he's right. He was the. Let's see if he's coming out here. Here it is, NFL draft. No, he's going to return
to North Dakota.
Yeah, that's Bryce Lance will return to North Dakota.
That's
for the 2025 season.
Yeah, smart.
I think this is the best decision-wise, according to what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the system. So he's going to stay one more one more season and then come out. It sounds like from the way they look, he's 6'2", 204, but they think that he could be a potential first rounder next year.
Yeah.
He's
I watched him
the real deal.
Yeah, I watched him in the game there when they had that play, and I said, man, this guy here can absolutely play. I forgot they was playing. Who were they playing? Colorado?
It might have been.
Yeah, because they play Colorado, man. Just catch everything. I mean, just catching traffic, nice size on him. Yep. And I know they said he could be eligible, but I guess he decided to go ahead and go back.
Yeah, because he had red shirt, and they said he was 2 years in.
And I wasn't surprised that Shador and Travis Hunter came out, but they could have played, I guess, another season. I guess it was because of COVID.
They had the COVID year. I think they could have played it. They could have
came back.
Yeah, they could have played another season.
Yeah, but
they had enough starts. I mean, Shador Sanders.
Yeah, he's got about what, 50 something.
Yeah, Yeah, Shador's got I think well over 50 starts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was definitely coming out.
Yep.
So
I'll tell you, it's coming upon us. NFL draft is upon us. I love it.
Let's get in here. Let's hit the phones. You're on the sports page.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Hey, Irish Mike. What's going on?
Doing well. Hey, we're 3 weeks down to the draft in the NFL, and saw Tony Grossi put something out last night that basically he thinks that the Browns will take Travis Hunter with the second pick of the draft.
Okay.
That seems to be the scuttlebutt in and around Cleveland town. That's the direction at least they're thinking about going in right now. And that he believes Shador Sanders, the quarterback, will end up going with the 9th pick to the New Orleans Saints. That's what he's hearing, at least, around there. That the Browns' strategies for Jackson Dart or Travis Milroe for the second round, we might be interesting high second round draft picks. And that it looks more and more, he believes, it'll end up being Joe Flacco in Cleveland instead of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I seen that. I did see that.
So
yeah, because they could
that's what Tony Grossi posted last night about 10:38 p.m. last night.
Yeah, he's Shador Sanders has 50 starts, college starts.
Okay.
So he's played. He definitely has. He could have, I guess, come back for one more season, but he didn't. But obviously, he didn't have to 50 starts. Here's the thing, I guess, with Cleveland. So Cleveland's gonna. So what they're going to do is maybe draft, if he's available, Jackson Dart, if he's available in the second round. But now I've seen so many, the Jets, I got one mock with the Jets taking him in the first round, and then I got another one showing Pittsburgh taking him in the first round.
Right.
But I think if they get Rodgers, maybe they don't. But I think that now they were thinking the Jets will, which... I could see the Giants drafting down and getting him anyway. I know people don't think the Giants are drafting a quarterback. I tend to think they might because you only have Russell Wilson for 1 year. And unless he lights up the scoreboard with the Giants, they would sign him to a contract extension. Jameis is their backup. I get it. But maybe the Giants are not enamored with any quarterback in this draft and are going to pass and figure we'll get the quarterback next year. But if you're a Brown fan, okay, if you don't take Shador, I don't think they can get Cousins because, as Dave mentioned earlier, the money situation, Atlanta wants these teams to take a big clump of the contract, and the Browns and the Steelers don't have the cap money available to do the trade, is what we're told. So that leaves Kirk Cousins kind of going to be an expensive backup for Atlanta unless some other team jumps in and can pick up a good part of his contract. But if you're a Brown fan, you're going to roll the season out with Kenny Pickett and who? You're going to go. I mean, if you can't get Cousins,
I just think they have to get some kind of veteran. So, I guess you can get Flacco. You go ahead. He knows the system.
Right.
He knows it. He's gonna make some great plays, and he's gonna throw some interceptions too, big time.
I mean,
that's just
wait a
what he
second,
does.
Dave Clark. 2 weeks ago, Dave Clark, Myles Garrett told us he already knew who the quarterback was going to be.
Yeah, no. I wonder if he does know.
We all know why he signed the contract with Cleveland, okay? We all know why he signed an extension, okay? But it just behooves me the fact that he badmouthed him publicly to everybody in America for 2 months, and then, he acted like we were getting Tom Brady in his prime to come to Cleveland or something.
Yeah.
But I just look at the Cleveland Brown. I don't know. I thought they would draft Shedeur Sanders and roll with him.
They still might.
And they might.
You think they'd get back into the first round? Do you think they'd do that and take one of them?
The problem, I think, Dave Clark's going to be the fact that if they do that, if they try to get back into the first round, I mean, it's probably going to cost them a first rounder next year, okay?
Yeah.
And we would expect in 2026 the Browns be drafting really high, like a top 10 pick. Am I wrong? So a lot of teams might be interested in saying, hey, if you want to trade back and give us your next year's number one, we're all in. You'll have to give them a number 2 this year, number 3, and a number 1 next year, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, depending on how deep. I mean, I've seen something that they come back in the first round. They may not have to give up a first rounder to do that if it's the last half, that from 20 to 32. But if they try to get up there around 9 or 10, if they're concerned, then now a first rounder will definitely be involved.
Yeah.
So,
for next year, it'll be probably a second rounder this year and a third rounder and a number 1 next year.
Yep, it'll be something like that.
You're moving a lot of steps to get what you want.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what. Yeah, that's the problem. So, I think I don't know if you're the Browns. Obviously, you didn't get Russell Wilson. You're not going to get Rodgers. Okay, so then you're.
I don't think they want Kenny Pickett to be the starter.
No, do you want to roll Kenny Pickett as your guy? That's like. I still don't buy the Mason Rudolph being. I know Pittsburgh's trying to give me this. Well, Mason, and they even said, "Well, we're okay. We're comfortable with going with Mason Rudolph as our starter next year." No, you're not.
No.
You're a Pittsburgh fan. No, I'm not. If I was a Giant fan and you were going to roll out Drew Lock as your guy next year, I'd be like, "Don't do that." Yeah. I mean, and Drew Lock, and I kind of think Drew Lock and Mason are one of the same. But I'm just saying, Mason Rudolph is a backup. Don't give me this. He's a starter. He's a backup. Kenny Pickett is a backup. Don't give me the rollout. We're going to roll out and be comfortable. You might be comfortable, but your fan base isn't.
Yeah.
You think the Steeler fans are going to be happy if Mason Rudolph's the starter coming into next season?
No, they're not going to want that. The fans is definitely not. I mean, Pittsburgh, only why, like I said, I feel comfortable with that is if I'm getting Dart, Shedeur, or somebody, and then I can say, I'm going to let the Rudolph start. Bridge. And I know these guys is going to come in, and they may come in the first year. If they advance right away, I'm just putting them in.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm not going with Mason.
If Pittsburgh wrote Mason Rudolph and get Jackson Dart with the idea we're going to bring Jackson Dart after maybe game 6 or 7, depending what Mason Rudolph's doing.
Yeah.
But we're going to ultimately hand the ball off to him with the idea that he's advanced and he's going to be the guy moving forward. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But to roll Mason Rudolph out, and I mean, and Rodgers is good, but again, he's still 40 years old, coming off an Achilles, and granted, he played pretty good with the Jets, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had a good season. The Jets kicker cost him a lot of the games, but the point is, he's older, and maybe you get a year out of him, but if you're a Steeler fan, what's your future? Same thing with the Browns.
You got to get a guy.
What are you going to do, Cleveland? And the Giants are kind of in that same boat. Like, you have 3 teams that are all kind of in the same boat as saying, okay, we've got Giants have Russell Wilson a year. What they have in their favor is if he plays great, they could maybe get him on another year or 2 extension. Okay. I don't know how great he's going to play, but you have that potential. But if you're a Pittsburgh or Cleveland, you don't have that. You don't have the Russell Wilson. What you have is 2 guys that are backups.
Yeah. Well, Cleveland's worse.
But Cleveland's
it's definitely worse because I don't even think that Pickett got to that level to be starting right now. Now, can he develop? He's still young. Yeah, he definitely can. You never know what. We done seen guys.
Yeah.
You done seen Geno Smith turn his thing around. Darnold. I mean, you never know what will happen. But as of right now, you don't want neither one of them to be your starter. I mean, I'd be okay if I get a quarterback with Rudolph starting with the idea we're bringing this guy along quickly, and if you're not up to our standards, you're out. He's in. Now, if you play, let's say he just happened to play a great season. He's still out next year for me because I can get something for him, and my young guy will still be my quarterback. But Cleveland, they have to do something. And if they do get Travis Hunter, they got to get back in the first round, or like I told you, they may get the guy from Louisville, Shook, as a guy that, in the second round or something like that. He might be a guy big, tall, athletic, and he can throw the ball.
The other quarterback everybody seems to be really interested now is Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
As potentially.
I seen him on a mock draft going to the Browns in the third round.
Right. I've seen that, and Kyle McCord moving his way up the draft board.
Let me tell you, Lucia, I think he's the wild card in this whole draft for quarterbacks. Because, I think I know Ohio State won a national championship last year, but that kid got a raw deal.
Oh, yeah, he did.
I did too.
Yeah, he did.
I think he
got
did.
a raw deal. If the old rules are in place, you're not playing for a national championship this year, and you're probably firing Ryan Day, right? Let's be honest. Right?
Yeah.
If we're playing in the old system, we're on a Final Four only, not a Final 12.
Yeah, Ryan Day lost
no
his
longer
job.
Employed by the Ohio State University. Come on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
No, it's true.
The fact is that kid got thrown under the bus by a fan base.
Yeah, pretty much, because he lost it.
We all know it.
Yeah.
He lost that Michigan game in Michigan.
Yeah.
Because his arm got hit on an interception.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all saw it. I mean, it's like, but I mean, I know you could say, well, I mean, it worked out for everybody because they won the national championship, and he went up there and threw for 10 million yards in a wide open offense with Syracuse.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it did. I mean, ultimately it worked out. Yeah, he got in the right offense.
And if he get in the right situation in the pros, I think he could be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
my friend sent me, it was a controlled environment. They played 7 home games in a dome on turf, blah, blah, blah. We had him, and it's like, well, it just sometimes expectations are unrealistic. And I just think that, that kid was a heavily recruited kid coming out of high school.
Yeah.
A lot of schools wanted him, and he's used to a pro style offense. And, I just think that, I think he's going to go in the second round, Dave. I could see him in the middle end of the second round, to be honest with you.
Yep. Well, he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And he does, and I think he does have the potential. I watched him playing there. He looked like a different guy that was at Ohio State. And I always thought, like I said, we always talk about Ryan Day's offense is not an NFL standard offense.
No.
It's not. Right. The way they do things. So,
and they're saying the same thing about Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, under Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator is Charlie Weiss Jr. So obviously he's around his father who understands what the pro style offense looks like. So, right. I mean, with all these quarterbacks, there's going to be an adjustment period because, college coaches run college offenses designed to win college games.
And those quarterbacks, all of them, to Shedeur, Cam Ward, all those guys went to places that ran pro-style offenses, and they don't. That has to count for something.
That does.
They didn't do that. Like they asked Shedeur, "Are you going to be able to play under center?" He said, "I always played under center." He had to learn how to play in the shotgun coming, in college. He said, "But our system was complete pro, and we know that, especially at Colorado.
Yeah,
he ain't had nothing but pro coaches."
Well, yeah, and here's the thing with Shedeur Sanders, he's got 50 starts in college.
Yeah.
So he's got, always say about the college starts, Richardson with the Colts, the problem with Richardson, he didn't have that many college starts. It's showing up now in the NFL game. Shedeur's like way over the 25. He's doubled it. He's 50 starts in college.
Yeah.
So he's more than NFL ready. Then obviously his father coaching him with a pro style.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm Little League. That's unbelievable.
And that's why I said it last week 100 times. I still can't believe the Browns are going to let him go. Yeah. And they might. And then I'm a Giant fan, and as much as the Giants need line, I think they should draft Shedeur anyway. put Tommy Cutlets on the practice squad, let Shador be there a year, and move Shador into the starting position the next year. Have him a year under Russell and Winston and let him learn. That's what I think the Giants should do. They probably won't do it, and then I have the conspiracy theory. The reason why the Raiders gave Geno Smith the contract extension, they know Shador won't be there. At 7, they know that either the Browns or the Giants are drafting him. That's what I think.
Yeah, because I mean, they was talking contract, but they didn't move quick, and then all of a sudden they went on and did it. So it do make you think that they know, hey, we're not going to have.
We're not going to have Shador. Won't be there for us because everybody kept saying Brady involvement. He wanted Shador, and they were hoping Shador would drop to 7.
I wonder if he does come up. When they go 6, wonder if he does come up and he gets by and he's sitting there for the Raiders. I wonder, they might still take him.
They might. I mean, they still might take him because you've got him under the rookie contract.
Yeah. That's
and
the
I mean,
thing.
you always got to figure, especially in the NFL, Geno's kind of injury prone anyway. But there you go. But why would you take Shador and let him develop under Geno Smith? But I just can't see I don't know why the Browns would let him go. Because you have no quarterback. You got Kenny Pickett and what? And that's it. And then maybe you're going to try to get it. But I don't know if
he's only quarterback on. I think he's only quarterback on the roster right now, isn't he?
Yeah, Irish Mike. Who's the other quarterback under the Browns roster?
Well, you have obviously you have Kenny Pickett, and I think that's it for right now.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else is on there.
I got to look it up. I don't think they do.
I don't think they put nobody else on there yet. No. I think it's going to go crazy in the next couple of weeks because I think they will get somebody in there. They have to. They got to get somebody else in the quarterback room. It's no question. But they're going to still do something. It's going to be some surprise. Now, like you said, when the Raiders made that move, that did make me wonder. So, they signed him. I'm glad they signed him because they need some stability. But if that guy pops up and still be there, I don't know. And him and Tom Brady do have a relationship. Him and Shador. I think they'll still take him anyway.
I thought he would, if the Browns and the Giants passed on him, he would fall to the Raiders.
And if he is there, you know what I think the Raiders would do? They would draft Shador, and then the very next, maybe the same during the draft, they'll sign Dobbins if he's still a free agent because they need another back.
Yeah, they
got to have backs. They'll go the free agent route and then get another back later.
And they'll come back.
Oh, they'll do that.
Or they could draft Henderson later on or second round.
I think you get Dobbins and you get Henderson.
Yeah, and you could get Henderson and Dobbins too. Sign Dobbins, get Henderson.
Yeah.
And you still have Shador. See, I think they can do that. And that's why I still don't believe. I think this is all smoke. These people are saying Shador is going to drop. We had last week, he was dropping to the Rams on one mock.
We've seen that one. I think you've seen it too, the one where he's not even drafted.
No, they have him in the second round.
Yeah.
I think there's so much smoke and, as we always say, lying and all the other crap that you had thrown out at you. I just can't believe that they're going to I can't believe the Browns are letting him go. And then if he gets past the Browns, I don't know why the Giants would let him go either.
Me either.
I mean, Cam Ward's going number 1 to Tennessee. I don't know I think that's pretty much a deal done.
Yeah.
And I think the Raiders signed Geno to the extension because they know Shador Sanders is not going to be there when they draft.
Yeah. It's got to be something like that.
That was the thing. As soon as I saw that Geno Smith signed a long-term extension or the 3-year extension with the Raiders, I figured they know Shador Sanders is not going to be there.
I got a question for you, Irish Mike.
Go ahead.
Why did guys say that Shador could not throw the deep ball? All these.
Why? That's a great question because the games.
Because you heard about that, right?
Downfield a lot.
Yeah. Did I miss something?
I mean, I couldn't believe it was all out there about he can't. The reason he doesn't need to be drafted, he can't throw the deep ball at all. And I'm like, wait a minute, did he throw the ball deep a lot?
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I just didn't, and I always thought one thing about him, he was one of the most accurate guys. He's very accurate. I guess they don't like him because he has confidence. They'd rather you be
well, that's that
humble.
whole thing with that stupid thing when he said, I want to, change. I want a winning culture. I want to change the culture to winning. I'm thinking, okay. And somehow they were interpreting that as being a negative.
Yeah. He's too arrogant.
Yeah.
To see, but that happens. I hate to say that, but it is. When a guy shows confidence, they don't take it as confidence. They look at it as arrogant, full of himself, this, that, and the other. But I'm gonna be honest, I was always taught when I was young, as in boxing, I should have confidence like that. And then when I started playing football and became a defensive back, I was told that you better have confidence.
Yeah.
Because you may get beat one play, you can't think about that. The very next play is coming.
Right.
So you need to sometimes you need to talk a good game. That gets you going.
Right.
Because now you got to prove it. I'm gonna prove what I say.
Right.
And people don't understand that, but they look at it as this arrogant, think I'm just better than everything else. Well, I mean that's most guys that are great do have that type feel. I mean, I hear it when they talk. When I hear the Brady's talk, or you hear Aaron Rodgers talk.
Right.
All the different backs that I heard. That's how they talk.
That's what I mean. I don't understand this.
I don't know.
We'll know in a couple of weeks, I guess. I don't know.
Get it.
Like I said, we're 3 weeks or though from the draft. So
I don't want no humble guy anyway.
No,
I want him. I don't need him just humble. I need him coming here.
What do you
ready
think,
to go?
Irish Mike? Well, we're on. I was going to say, who do you think they should draft?
Who's that?
The Browns.
The Browns?
Yeah,
Probably. I would go with the best available player, either Abdel Carter or Penn State or Travis Hunter.
Travis.
Still got to get the best player.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Irish Mike. Everybody have a great and a safe week. Do not drink and do not drive. Stay sober and buckle up. Saturday Morning Sports Page.
The stations that always keep you in the zone.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast, Youngstown, Ohio.
Join Matt Brown and Mike Somich on Ready, Set, Bet as they get you ready to make your bets for all the weekend games.
We're going to be at the end of this thing with money guns, or I'm just going to be like, begging people for change out on Fremont Street.
It feels like the Twins and the Guardians have higher floors but lower ceilings.
Don't miss out on crucial advice for live betting once the game starts, as well as looking ahead to the upcoming action. Tune in to Ready, Set, Bet, weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network. Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour number 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm your host, Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll head to San Antonio in less than 15 minutes. We'll catch up with Coach Matt McCall doing work with the Field of 68, as well as some NBC sports work. And then Jonathan Von Tobel, a gentleman who is in second place in the Circa College Hoops Challenge. We'll get his picks and also curious his thoughts on what we continue to see from the Golden State Warriors. Another win, another cover for the Warriors last night. They are now 20-2 when Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry are in the lineup together. Steph going for 36 last night as the Warriors get that win. And right now, the Western Conference is just kind of jumbled together outside of Oklahoma City and Houston. 3 through 8 are being separated by 2 games. Easy for me to say. Spit it out there, Tim. So we will talk to JVT coming up here in just a little bit. But of course, the Final Four is here tonight. Yes, it is 4-1 seeds. First time since 2008, just a second time in history. We just heard from Paul Stone. He likes Houston. He said he leaned over in Auburn, Florida. By the way, the most consensus selection in the contest is actually the under 160.5. Now, is there part of that a little game theory in the sense that
We got to select it at 160.5. The market now sitting at 160. The couple 159.5s out there. I can't speak for the other 7 folks part of this contest, but I was debating between taking the points with Auburn and the under, and ultimately landed on the under here. A little bit of an adjustment from what we saw in February when this total was 155. Now, worth noting, 171 points were scored when Florida and Auburn played each other back in February, a final of 90-81 down there in the jungle. So my selections, by the way, for today, Houston plus the 5. That is my best bet. And in Florida, Auburn under 160.5. It is worth noting, I did play first half under 76.5 earlier this week. Talked about that on VSiN Primetime. I do wonder if this game gets off to a bit of a slow start. But I thought it was a fair point by Paul regarding the sight lines and the success that teams had, specifically Villanova in 2018, shooting inside the Alamo Dome. So is that something that's maybe a little bit overlooked or overblown, I should say, when it comes to the totals inside the Alamo Dome? Couple little notes here of the 4 teams and how they fared so far against the spread in the NCAA tournament. Duke, 3-1 ATS. Their lone non-cover was the win over Arizona, 100-93 in the Sweet 16. Obviously took care of business and then some against Alabama in the Elite 8, winning 85-65. Houston, 2-1 ATS, and I know JBT has talked about it. That was a rather challenging push if you had the Houston Cougars in that spot, as they were controlling the Gonzaga game pretty much the whole night, and then kind of took their foot off the gas. Gonzaga started to make some buckets, did not cover against Purdue, and then easily covered in the win over Tennessee. So 2-1 ATS are the Houston Cougars. Auburn, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I know there's a lot of discussion about how much this team has struggled, and you're fair to an extent. 1-3 straight up to close out the regular season. Did not cover in the first round against Alabama State. They've actually covered 3 straight games here, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. 3-1 is where they sit from an ATS standpoint. Now, not all covers are made equal, right? Down at the half against Creighton, blew them out in the second half, trailed by 9 against Michigan, went on a 20-2 run, and then really kept Michigan State, I'll say this, at arm's length the entire time. And believe it or not, and this is a little tongue-in-cheek, I get it, Florida, the unbeatable Florida Gators, they're just 1-3 ATS. And Will Hill, who is in on Florida, did make mention of this when you talk about their best game this year, or this tournament, was certainly against Maryland. And you could poke holes in everything. You could make cases every which way. But is it worth noting that Kevin Willard and the disastrous decision, I wouldn't say disastrous decision, just the way he handled leaving Maryland that whole week, was that a distraction? Maybe. But Florida also deserves credit for taking over the second half, running away, and hiding against the Terps. But that's their only cover. They did not cover against Texas Tech, even though, boy, did that get a little sweaty late in that one. And they did not cover against UConn. They did not cover in their opening round win against Norfolk State when their coach infamously said, "I told you we'd cover." As for totals, Florida 4-0 to the over. Duke 3-1 to the over. Houston 3-1 to the under, and Auburn 3-1 to the under. More picks coming up for you. Jonathan Von Tobel, bottom of the hour. Matt McCall, Coach Matt McCall, most recently with UMass. He will join the program here in about 10 minutes. But let's hear from some of the key cogs here later on tonight. No one bigger in the sport right now than Cooper Flagg, the presumptive number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, likely going to win every National Player of the Year award. Just yesterday was awarded the AP Player of the Year. Inevitably, I think will win the Wooden Award. But Cooper Flagg giving his thoughts on his competition here this evening, the Houston Cougars.
You have to give them a lot of credit for what they've been able to do all year long. With the pressure and the effort that they play with every single night. I think that's the biggest thing, that from watching all the film and whatnot, just seeing the amount of effort and pressure they're able to put on teams is the biggest thing that I've seen so far.
Cooper Flagg against Alabama, all things being equal, he was still pretty darn good. But for Cooper Flagg and the level that we've seen him play at, held in check relatively against Alabama. But when that happens, Con Knippel stepped up with a 25-5 game, and we've had 2 freshmen for Duke in this NCAA tournament. Flagg and Knippel both have 25 5-5 games. But I am very intrigued to see how Cooper Flagg performs here tonight. Obviously, he is, in my opinion, and I think pretty much everyone else's opinion, without a doubt, the most talented player in college basketball. And I was asking the question, he's the best pro prospect in college since ... I don't know the answer because he's better than Zion Williamson was as a prospect. He's more complete. Now, Zion with the explosiveness, the athleticism, certainly I think has an edge there. But all around, I think if Cooper Flagg and Zion were in the same draft class, I would say Cooper Flagg would probably be the number one overall pick. Now, I'm not talking about Victor Wembanyama or LeBron or anything like that. But I'd be curious to know from an NBA draft standpoint where he stacks up from a true college prospect, where he is over the last, let's call it, 25 years as a pure prospect who played collegiately. But Cooper Flagg, the expectation for him tonight, obviously people expecting him to take charge, plus 125 for him to lead the game in scoring. I actually think, and we'll dive into the props a little bit later, but if you were to take a little bit of a flyer, LJ Cryer plus 350. I think Uzan or Knipple to lead the game in scoring at Knipple 5-1, Uzan at 9-1. Kind of interesting looks because LJ Cryer, I'll say this, at his size, just 6'1", I do have some concerns about how much success he'll have against the rangy, long defenders that the Duke Blue Devils have. So right now, Duke, a 5-point favorite over at vsin.com, where you can check out our up-to-date betting splits. 70% of the bets on the Duke Blue Devils laying the 5, 75% of the money, courtesy of DraftKings on the Duke Blue Devils. Earlier in the day, of course, we get Florida and Auburn. Todd Golden has done a remarkable job with this Florida Gators team, and give him a lot of credit for the end-of-game execution, not only from his players hitting the big threes. Clayton, that step-back three still will be a thing that is remembered for a long time, I imagine, down in Gainesville, but fouling down to get the one-and-one opportunities that Texas Tech missed both of. So now Todd Golden and this Florida Gators team already snapped a big old win streak from the Auburn Tigers back on February 8th, a 14-game winning streak. His thoughts on the Auburn Tigers here this evening.
Our teams know each other really well at this point. We're going to show these guys what we call our keys and personnel probably 3 more times before the ball goes in the air. And I would probably venture to guess that Will could tell you player by player right now the tendencies that each of these Auburn players have and what they like to run, whether it's in the half court or out of bounds or on the sideline. So, that's more of just like us as coaches, like kind of covering our butts and making sure we can say, hey, you were prepared, to do these things. But we got to play hard. We got to defend well. We got to be physical. We have to rebound well. We got to be strong with the ball and take care of it. And just do the things that we've done all year to make us really, really consistent. And the great thing is we have shot makers on our team. And at the end of the day, you got to make shots to win the game.
They sure do. Walter Clayton Jr. is definitely a shot maker. That dude is a bucket getter. And one of the cool things about this Final Four, I know, no Cinderella. Well, I think it's kind of fascinating that the two of the best 3 players in the Final Four both were at mid-majors not too long ago. Broome was at Morehead State. Clayton was at Iona. Let's hear from the Auburn Tigers side of things. I'll tell you what, we played a bunch of Dylan Cardwell clips. This dude's a great soundbite, and he gave us his thoughts on preparing for those Florida Gators.
We don't really go into games saying, hey, this is an elimination game. You can't win a game like that. What we do is we segment our games. We just try to be present, be where our feet are, and just like I said, just focus on the game, things that we can control. Like I said, we can't control what a ref calls, but just making sure we're primed to play and ready to play. It's no different than in this regular season. We've had the craziest non-conference, I think, or just craziest schedule in scheduling history, and we have been primed for this position. We're primed for the opportunity that's in front of us, and it's no different than any other game we played. We don't address the elephant in the room as far as, hey, this is an elimination game. I feel like every game that we played has been an elimination game. We played in Maui. We played at Houston. Every game we played at Duke. We played Alabama. We played all these crazy quad one games. Every game that we played, it was a must-win game for us, and this is just no different.
There's no doubt Dylan Cardwell and the Auburn Tigers have played every team in the Final Four. They went to Duke. They beat Houston in the infamous plane flight situation game, and then played Florida back on February 8th. Hey, folks, just a reminder, you can take VSiN wherever you go. with the VSiN Watch app. You can watch and listen to us. You can check out show replays. Download the VSiN Watch app wherever you get your apps. Google Play Store, Apple App Store. We head to San Antonio and we talk to Coach Matt McCall next here on VSiN.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live full service.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM.
That's all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and when I want to catch up with Youngstown sports, I tune in to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
MLB pitcher. He says target the wear and tear from travel. One of the easiest ways to do this, fade East Coast teams coming off a long road trip. And fade a team that is playing its last game of a 3-city road trip. Schedules are posted, so these are spots you can circle on the calendar right now. For more MLB betting tips, check out VSiN's MLB betting guide at VSiN.com/subscribe.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
We keep it rolling here on a Saturday morning. I don't know, folks. I think I try to bring the excitement every day on the network, but today there's just something about it. I am so fired up for this Final Four. I don't care about the stupid narrative. Oh, we got no Cinderella. Yeah, we got the 4 best teams. And historically speaking, per KenPom, these are 4 of the best 10 teams that we've seen in college basketball since his website came into existence in the late 90s. So let's enjoy it. Hopefully we get some great games. And I know a gentleman who will be breaking these games down on SiriusXM channel 84 later today. Friend of the program, former UT Chattanooga and UMass coach. It is Matt McCall who joins us right now, courtesy of our progressive guest line. Coach, you once upon a time were a Cinderella story, right? Chattanooga, the Mocs. Shout to your former team and
shout out to the Mocs, NIT champs. Let's go.
What a crazy game.
What a year.
Man, what a game finish. I mean, you feel for the young man who missed the bucket at the end, but that's the nature of the beast. A hell of a game there at Hinkle earlier this week. But I got to ask you, as someone who, worked your way up from UT Chattanooga to UMass, and now you're one of us in the media field. what's your take on this Cinderella discussion? Because I know you talked about, I'm sure, on the college sports station over on Sirius XM. I could not be more excited for this Final Four. Where are you on the level of excitement with all one seeds being there in San Antonio?
You know what? I'm with you 100% just in terms of, look, like we've got the 4 best teams here. And the 4 best teams essentially throughout the course of a college basketball season, and we get to watch them, tip it up today at 5-10. We're going to get Cinderella again. This whole narrative that it's over, we'll never get it again. Oh my gosh, maybe we don't get a VCU that goes from the first 4 in all the way to the Final Four. Maybe we don't get a Wichita State or an FAU get to the Final Four, but we'll get some upsets. We'll have some great games. And this narrative of, it's over, I just don't believe that. I think that we've got the 4 best teams here, and we're going to get some great basketball games starting at 5-10 with Florida and Auburn.
Yep.
And it's interesting. Rick Pitino is out here, and he got, the AP Coach of the Year alongside Bruce Pearl yesterday, and he even said it. He's like, look, I can make a case for each one of these teams on why they're going to win the national championship on Monday night. It's almost impossible to pick who's going to do it and who's going to cut the nets down because of how good all 4 of them are. I hope we get great games. I hope we maybe even throw a buzzer beater in there, some excitement. But it's going to be a lot of fun today, and look forward to being in the building.
Yeah, we get shades of a little Jalen Suggs, a little bank-in 3 at the buzzer. I'd be cool with that if we get something like that. Auburn and Florida first up. Matt McCall joining us here, courtesy of our progressive guest line. You can catch him on College Sports Radio, channel 84, later on today from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey, Coach Broome, John A. Broome, obviously he's probably going to be runner-up in almost every National Player of the Year award. Might win one or two,